Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Pratt has finally reacted to the raiding of the former BOG's governor's house, which he said this is not the first time and things has happened in the past which NPP has hands in them, yet they are complaining as if this is the first time. So they should stop making the noise. He also described Afenyo Markin as somebody who talks too much and sometimes leaves his brain behind. I don't know what he's trying to say, whether something is wrong with the mind or not. Your views are much welcome on that. Please do leave a comment at the comment section or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277128777. Sorry, don't forget, this station still remains PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please just subscribe for more videos. Like and also share. Please share to your friends. Share to your friends. Share to any WhatsApp platform you belong to, any page that you belong to, any group, any platform. Please do share for us. Thank you for doing that. God bless you.
As always, this is, I think the name is Ubuntu France, says, what is the man in black trying to say? For what legal backing did the past finance minister have making his bank an advisory body for this country in collecting loans and all other financial impedance he did? GM will investigate Nanado when the time comes. The Constitution posits that he's subjected to that for the first 3 years after his tenure. He should rest, for NPP isn't coming to power anytime, so we should keep this. Okay, thank you very much for sending that comment. There's this one, says, hi Sana, what is the minority leader trying to say in respect of the national security operatives trying entry into the house of the governor of the Bank of Ghana? Was their entry search into the home of Dr. Addison not allowed by a court of competent jurisdiction? Was Dr. Addison not spying on the staff and the operations of BOG at the comfort of his home? Are the operatives so poor to the extent that stealing 10,000 Ghana cedis from his home? The minority leader should lead Dr. Addison to the police to make an official complaint, other than resorting to press conference. Thanks, from Dr. Sontolo, Agona Hunter in the Western region. Thank you. Emmanuel sends this from Kumasi, says, please, Dr. Adumako is not abreast of what he's saying over there. Has Addison complained of his missing money? Then there's Reverend Ben in DC, who says, reading the former governor of Bank of Ghana is not what happened. Obtaining a court directive to have his house searched for whatever they were looking for doesn't make that a raid. Let's choose our words carefully. The national operatives did not act illegally, warranting the word raid. Senyo sent this from La. Says the NPP man doesn't seem to know the difference between a raid and a search, or probably trying to dance to the tune of his tiny little minority, which will keep them in opposition for decades. Boka Frank is also joining us. Good morning, Sana. Please ask him when he was in the year where he was in the year 2017 before his party people were doing the same. Boka, send that from Bato. There are many comments coming on this particular one. Says, please, the MPP man speaking is really showing whom they are, thinking they know more than anybody. He forgets how they went about investigations. We as Ghanaians are wise towards whatever they say. There's also, says, all the criminals in the MPP who looted state must be named and be prosecuted. Mahama is keeping long on that. Most of us that campaigned and voted for JM is not for anything than that. Else he should make Ghana become like heaven. If he fails us on that, they will also be driven out for the thieves to take over again. No king nor any other person should interfere with these expectations of Ghanaians. Jake sent that from Asamankese. There's Dennis Akwete, who says, the Bible says that the law is made for man and not man for law. Oral must succeed, but things must be done with high standard and with openness, not to give room for any propaganda like we're seeing in the former BOG governor's case. Why didn't the stolen cash, as alleged, why wasn't it reported to the police? From the little we heard, the former BOG governor's house was searched in accordance with law. But if I were government, Richard Japan must be reassigned from the leading search operations, a situation which now gives opportunity to some to be dealing with the messenger instead of the message itself. Dennis, thank you very much. It says the NPP should come out and apologize for the wrongs they did to Ghanaians and stop pontificating. And then this one says, good morning. These NPP think Ghanaians are fools. When they were in power, they did worse things to their opponents. After they left power and what they did to the NDC, they're just receiving 3/4 of what they did. They have started crying. Whom are they crying to? There's a saying that do unto others what you want others to do unto you. Who was this man when the NDC was at the receiving end? Why are the NPP more human than others? A Square. Also, okay, I think it's Alasan, A Square from Tamale. So it baffles me how people talk about the national security raid on former BOG's governors based on hearsay. Has anyone heard from the governor? Is the disrespectful minority leader his PR? Let's be serious in this country. Alasan A Square sent that one. There's more. So, we are in Ghana and we know it is hard to believe of the things stolen at the former finance minister's house. But we can't refuse the fact that the state went in there inappropriately. Hence, they are caught in the web, believe it or not. And from where I sit, I now find it difficult to believe because now in Ghana, many people have a lot of means to generate money or come out of trouble. Well, those are just some of the comments. Like, this one is attracting so many comments. Come back with Pratt.
Well, first of all, I have in front of me this newspaper, the new publisher of March 19, 2025, which is just the Thursday which passed. And it has a very, very interesting story. It says that popular politician in Ahmed Swali's case, murder deals, police grab suspect, and I've read the story. The story claims that the suspect who was arrested actually disguised himself, ran out of the country, and came back clandestinely and was arrested in a hair salon. So, and he was taken to court and has been granted bail. What an amazing story. Do you get what I'm driving at?
Yeah.
Somebody suspected of committing murder. The investigating authorities said that he actually disguised himself and ran out of the country. What does that mean? Why would anybody disguise himself and run out of the country and sneak into the country?
Yeah.
And the person is taken to court and is granted bail. Murder case, high profile case, exceedingly interesting. And then we are told that somehow, there's a leading popular politician whose name has come up in the investigations, and we are not told who.
Yeah.
Very interesting developments. So are these the investigating authorities we are talking about? I just wonder.
Yeah.
Are these the courts we are talking about? Now, I am not a lawyer like him. Just a layman. Okay? But if there's evidence that somebody who has been arrested for such a high crime actually disguised himself and ran out of the country and sneaked back into the country, there's a high probability of that person jumping bail. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand this. And the courts have granted bail. And there's a very high-profile politician involved. That high-profile politician is being protected. The name is not even being made available to the public. It's being protected. His image is being protected. Are these the investigating authorities we are talking about? Are these the courts we are talking about? I just wonder. You see, yesterday, I was discussing all of these happenings with some friends of mine. And with particular reference to Mr. Ken Oforiatta, I mean, one of my friends said, he has no right to complain. I said, why doesn't he have a right to complain? He said, but he did worse things to Ghanaians. This haircut, pensioners, they couldn't access their own money to buy medicines. Yeah. They couldn't pay their medical bills. It's even possible that some of them died. So this friend of mine said, he deserves what he's getting. And I cringed. Immediately cringed. Then another friend said, why? What is happening to them is nothing compared to what they did to others. And actually went on to cite the case of Kojotu Mbuafu, who reported to Ryoko on numerous occasions, who was harassed for years and so on. So they haven't seen half of what Kojotu Mbuafu has seen. And then I remembered the case of my own very good friend, Mr. Atuahoy. He has never told the story publicly. Massa, Mr. Atuahoy, what happened to him? I mean, the investigating officers became his virtual home. He was always there. Tens of times, scores of times, and he had no time to do any other thing. Wakes up in the morning, dresses up, and reports, and is questioned, and so on. So somebody says, what are they complaining about? They did worse, and so on. But you see, I listened to all of this carefully. The logic in all of this can only lead to deterioration. What standards are we applying?
Yeah.
If what they did to Chumbuafu was wrong, should it be done to somebody else?
No.
Even if it doesn't meet that threshold. If what they did to Mr. Atuahoy was not acceptable, should it be done to somebody else? These are important questions that we should ask and answer, because it will help all of us grow up. Yes, it is true that the haircut, which was introduced by Mr. Ken Oforiatta, caused havoc. Actually forced a former Chief Justice onto the streets to protest, to demonstrate, unprecedented in our history. It is true. Okay? And so what? Please, let's be careful. And so what? You see, Senna, in my short life, I've seen so many things. And I have so many stories to tell. You see, I recall, I think it was 1991. No, 1986. I was in Oshafort. I was locked up in Oshafort with Akoto Mpao, Ralph Kugbe, and Kokubako. And one dawn, somebody shouted for us, shouted our names and so on. It turned out to be Mawuli Goka. Mawuli Goka. And Mawuli Goka told us that he was being taken to the firing range. They were going to kill him. Okay? They were going to kill him. And he said that he had a few hours to die. And he was urging us to carry on the struggle. I can never forget this. This was 1986 in Oshafort prison. When we were taking him away to go and shoot him, he stood by our window and told us to continue the fight, and that he had come to the end. What fight was he talking about? What fight was he talking about? on the verge of his death, he gave us a mission. What was that mission? That mission was to ensure, as far as I'm concerned, that our experiences would never happen to any other person. So I've lived my life, saying to myself that what happened to me should never happen to any other person, enemy or friend. So that is the principle with which I am going to look at all of the things that are happening. You see, a lot of people, I hear them say that there was a court warrant. What does that mean? Because all of us, including you, Senna, have had occasion to question judgments from our courts. We have had occasion to say that the Supreme Court was wrong in some of the decisions that it made. Now, if we have done that, what it simply means is that our courts are not divine institutions. That our courts make mistakes. That sometimes our courts side with political authority. That sometimes our courts are not even minded by the law. All of us have said that based on our practical experiences before. Now, if we have, how can we today simply justify an action because there's a court decision? Let's think about it. You understand? Let's think about it. So that's one point. This court warrant thing, I am not sure is sufficient justification for entering anybody's house or for doing any of the things which have been done. I'm not sure that simply obtaining a court warrant justifies things. I'm not sure. I am not sure. I'm simply not sure. Okay, that's one. Now, you know, in our days, well, I'm still alive, you understand. One of the protections that we had in those days was the habeas corpus law. Habeas corpus law. So that if you are arrested unjustly and so on, your family or people related to you and so on can go to court on the basis of habeas corpus and request that the state should produce your body in court. It was some kind of a guarantee, especially in those days where there were extrajudicial killings and so on. The habeas corpus law became an important law for protection against the arbitrariness of the state. You understand? Then the PNDC passed the habeas corpus amendment law. Maza, one of the worst things that happened in the history of Ghana in terms of the application of the law and upholding the rights of citizens was the PNDC's passage of the habeas corpus amendment law. Do you know what that meant? Under the habeas corpus amendment law, if you are arrested and you file on the basis of habeas corpus and so on, all the state had to do was to come to court and say that you have been arrested for national security reasons. Finish, case closed. So it rendered the habeas corpus law inoperative, useless, completely useless. And people suffered for this. I don't want this to be ever repeated. So it was lawful for the state to refuse to produce your body in court. It became lawful. So if you're talking about what the law permits and so on, let us be guided by some of these things. You understand? Yeah. They are lawful, but is that the path we want to tread as a people? And so on. Now, I believe very, very strongly that the state institutions, including its investigative institutions and so on, ought to act according to law. Huh? Otherwise, we'll be thrown into the jungle. State institutions, especially the investigative authorities, the NIB, the CID, the so-called Yoko and so on, all of them ought to operate according to law. It's a very firm belief that I have. Even when they are dealing with murderers, even murderers have rights. Murderers, those who commit murder, have rights. And we cannot violate those rights simply because they are murderers and so on. We should understand that very clearly. So today, I asked myself, why was Henry Addison's house?
Ernest.
Is it Ernest?
Ernest Addison.
Well, forgive me, Massa. There are so many names in the world, sometimes you can't get all of them right.
Yeah, that's right.
Why was Ernest Addison's house searched, raided? I don't know what words to use. I don't know. Do you know?
No.
Senna, do you know? I don't know. All the explanations that have been given and so on doesn't tell us anything about how and why the house was searched. You understand? So on what basis do I make a judgment? Master, on what basis do I make a judgment as to whether what happened was right or wrong, lawful or unlawful? We don't know anything. We are told that when they went to his house, and this is Afenyo Markin. Now Afenyo Markin, I think sometimes he talks too much. He's so much in a hurry to talk that sometimes he leaves his brain behind. You understand? There's this gentleman who is talking, and what is he telling us? That when they went there were 3 official cars in the house. Okay? And that those 3 official cars were driven away, and later his drivers went and picked the official cars and so on. I'm asking myself, retired governor, what are 3 official cars doing in his house? He's not entitled to any official car. If he retires with the vehicle, it becomes his personal property. It is no longer an official vehicle. So if there are 3 official cars in his house, then something was wrong. But this information is coming from Afenyo Markin. Afenyo Markin. I can't believe it. 3 official cars. What were they doing in the former governor's house? Official cars. 3. Not 1, not 2. 3. Why? It doesn't end there. We are told that there were empty money boxes in the house. What does it mean? First of all, what is a money box? You know, children, they keep these small boxes of this size. Yeah, susu box, thank you. And they keep coins inside and so on. That's a money box, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So if they found these types of money boxes in his house, what is the problem? Did they find huge, gigantic money boxes in his house which carry 2 billion? And if they did find huge, gigantic boxes in his house which carry 2 billion, what is the inference? That some monies were carried from the central bank to his house and emptied, and the boxes left behind. Is that the inference? And if that is the inference, why are we not being told? What kind of boxes did they find in his house beyond them being money boxes? What kind of boxes? And how are those boxes related to the search on his house? Did they go to his house because of those money boxes? Or they accidentally found those money boxes and so on? I don't know what to make of this. I simply don't know what to make of this. Now listen. In the campaign for the 2024 elections, President Mahama made a bold promise to the people of Ghana. He said that if he was elected, those who have stolen our monies will be made to cough the monies out. 1. They will be punished for stealing the money and so on. And the people of Ghana accepted this and voted for him. So part of his mandate is to recover what they call the loot. Part of his mandate is to punish those who looted. Nobody can quarrel with that. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody can quarrel with that. But then everybody expects that some important principles of law should be upheld. And one of the most important principles of law is that every and anybody must be presumed to be innocent until convicted by not just a court, but a competent court. You understand what I mean? And this is a principle all of us must respect. This is a principle all of us must uphold. Okay? So it is important that even those who are suspected of having committed crime should be made to enjoy their full rights as citizens until convicted by a competent court. It's an important principle that we cannot play with at all. You understand? Now, for me, I must say that one of the texters, Dennis Akwete, made a point. And then, Dennis, I salute you. You understand? I fully agree with you. Sometimes the aesthetics of cases become more important than the substance. You understand? And at the center of all of these so-called raids, searches, and so on, is this personality called Japa. I have nothing against Japa. He may be doing his work as assigned to him by his superiors and so on. You understand? But we cannot forget that just a few months ago, he was in court being tried. And we remember the tape recordings and all of those things and so on. All of those things color his actions today. You can't take those things out. So sometimes it is so easy for people to assume that this is vengeance, payback time. It may not be the case. It may not be the case, but I'm talking about the aesthetics. So therefore, I agree with Dennis Akwete that if things must be done and so on, why must it be done under the leadership of what is his name? Japa. Why? Somebody must explain. Because it seems to me that they are not paying attention to the aesthetics. They are not. Nobody is paying attention to the aesthetics. But the aesthetics are as important and valuable as substance in these matters. You understand? So that's part of the problem. Now, I'm sitting back and I'm wondering, I'm really wondering, Sana, Bank of Ghana, you say his name is Ernest Addison.
Yes.
If any government, any serious prosecution authority wants to investigate Ernest Addison and prosecute him, do you have to search his house? Tell me, do you have to search his house?
No.
Because what we were told, and I'm not saying it, what we were told was that he illegally printed currency. Illegally printed currency. Would the evidence for that be found in his house?
No.
No, not at all.
We were told that he took certain actions which led to substantial financial loss to the state because it was without parliamentary approval. Is the evidence for that available in his house?
No.
So think back. All the things that were said about Ernest Addison, you think he cannot be prosecuted without going to his house? So this going to his house, what was it meant to find? I don't know. Maybe they have answers, but I don't know. Nobody knows. The only people who know may be national security. You understand? Maybe in the Attorney General's office and so on. I wish that these investigations be carried out in a most transparent manner. In a manner which does not give the targets of investigations and so on some high moral grounds, to turn around and to do some of the things that we are hearing and seeing today. Let these investigations be based on law. Let the rights of the accused be respected. And let convictions take place and nobody would have anything to do with that. You understand? Now, look, NPP. Everybody knows what is happening in the NPP today. Yeah. Leading member of the party is here. Former member of parliament is here. Everybody knows what is happening in the NPP. Okay. If the NPP actually thinks that the way forward is what Afenyo Markin is doing, God bless them. If the NPP really thinks that the way forward lies in numerous press conferences of no substance, God bless them. Because what is happening in the NPP is a really substantial movement leading to the establishment of the true values of the party. Yeah. It's the true values of the party which is in contention. Yeah. You understand? And until that is resolved, this noise making, sometimes childish in the extreme, would not help anybody. It will not help them. It will not help the country. It will not help anybody. You understand? So, what is my position? My true position is this. No citizen is above the law. And if you say that no citizen is above the law, what you also imply is that no citizen is under the law. I mean, all of us have to be treated with equal measure, irrespective of our party affiliation and so on. All of us, let all of us, and I was wrong, every citizen should be under the law, not above the law. So let all of us be treated, under the law and not above the law. Citizens have rights guaranteed by the Constitution, guaranteed by legislation passed by Parliament. It should work. You understand? It should work. I am in sympathy with the position which was taken by my good friend, lawyer Apia Dankwa. Because when the Office of Special Prosecutor was being created, I objected to it, the manner in which that office was being created. It was only going to lead to chaos. But nobody listened. Because one, the NDC members of Parliament did not want to oppose the process so that they would be thought of as persons who didn't want accountability. So they went along. The NPP members of Parliament went along, not so much so that they believed in what was being done, but because the executive wanted to make a point. It was received public applause and so on. So we established the Office of Special Prosecutor, pretending that it was an independent institution, when the Constitution says very clearly that the power to prosecute is vested in the Attorney General. That has not changed. Every other law is supposed to be inferior to the provisions of the Constitution. And yet, we have Parliament establishing the Office of Special Prosecutor and pretending that it's an independent institution and so on. One of the reasons why they claimed that we needed to establish the Office of Special Prosecutor was that the Attorney General was appointed by the President. Who appoints the Special Prosecutor?
The President. Did
we go or did we come? I mean, sometimes you can't believe what we do to ourselves. So if you establish this office of special prosecutor, and in the beginning, there was so much euphoria and so on, not so much in the office, but in the person who was going to occupy the office. Yeah. Because the person who was going to occupy the office was an NDC person, or had been associated with the NDC and so on, had actually become vice presidential candidate of the NDC at one point. Yes. So people in the NPP were happy to say, their own man is the one who is going to be dealing with them and so on. You lie? I lie? No. They were so happy. That was the whole point. Today, I'm sure that there are people in the NDC who are also so very happy. And you know what they are saying? Oh, we didn't appoint him. Oh. Yeah. It is their own appointee who is dealing with them. And so on. Should we run a country like this? Should we run a nation like this? I am not so sure. I think we should clean up our act. You understand? As for Mr. Ken Oforiatta, I think he should be made to understand in clear language that his citizenship of this country is not superior to the citizenship of any other citizen. He's a citizen like Senna. He's a citizen like Kwame Mensah from Ashirasi. You understand? His citizen is not superior to the citizenship of my good friend in Bolga, Atinga, and so on. He must begin to understand that. And that at some point or now, the people of Ghana would ask him to account for his stewardship. It's a legitimate demand. You can't sit in the Ministry of Finance and make all these important decisions of life and death for a country and not be asked to account for your stewardship. You cannot be president of this republic and at some point not be asked to account for your stewardship and so on. So he will be asked to account for his stewardship. Now, if he has done everything according to law, if he has not broken any law, he should not have any fears. You understand? But if he's done something against the dictates of our law and so on, of course you should expect that the rod of justice will lash him at the back. Yeah. That's if he's lucky. Yeah. If he's not lucky, it will lash him on his forehead.
Thank you for watching. PENDREAM TV really appreciates your time once again on the channel. Says God bless you for the good work you are doing.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.